We got an important question this hour. It's a question, actually kind of a timeless question, about redevelopment projects in densely populated neighborhoods. What is lost when the government acquires personal property in the name of innovation and infrastructure? And who pays that price? A debate is underway in Houston where a controversial freeway widening project is threatening to disrupt the lives of thousands of people, most of them from communities of color. Ben Tracy traveled to Texas to talk with people on both sides of this debate, and he met one local pastor forced to find a new home for his church.
At Greater Mount Olive Baptist Church in Houston, Pastor Joseph Johnson has led his flock for 25 years.
And he can do much with a little bit.
He's a man of deep faith, but these days...
So eventually, this freeway is going to come over here and take over the church?
He's finding it very hard to love his neighbor.
From the picture that they show us, they tell us we are sitting in lane number 7.
Lane number 7.
We are sitting in lane number 7.
Mount Olive shares this corner with Houston's Interstate 610. The freeway is about to be widened, and Mount Olive is in the way.
I feel like all the hard work that we did and everything we were striving for, it was being taken away from us. And then I think about, all this going to be destroyed.
And he knows what that feels like. When Hurricane Ike battered Houston back in 2008, a falling tree destroyed Mount Olive.
You see a lot of hard work,
Pastor Johnson rebuilt it with his own 2 hands, proudly opening the doors to this new church just 6 years ago.
What is it going to be like to walk out those doors for the last time?
Very difficult when I have to stand back and watch them come here with those big machines and how they're going to start biting into this building. When it took us years to build it here, it only going to take them a couple of days to destroy it.
Houston does have a problem. A booming population is making traffic terrible, but the massive $9 billion plan to widen 24 miles of interstate is hitting mostly Black and Hispanic neighborhoods hard. About 1,000 homes and apartments, along with 344 businesses, 2 schools, and 5 churches are expected to be knocked down, including some in historic Independence Heights, the first Texas city incorporated by African Americans back in the early 1900s.
Sometimes I feel like we're easy prey.
Tanya DeBose took us for a walk through Independence Heights. She's tried to protect it not only from the freeway, but also from gentrification, which is forcing out longtime residents.
Nobody cares about the people who are being displaced here and where they go.
DeBose then brought us back to the freeway to show us what was lost here a long time ago.
So this is where your great-grandfather's house used to be?
Yeah, right here on this intersection where this exit is.
When the interstate was first built back in 1959, DeBose's great-grandfather was forced from his home.
That's a home that I could have moved into. What's being lost here is generational wealth.
And what do you say to those folks who say somebody has to sacrifice for the greater good and this is where the road needs to be?
I'm going to try to be nice here, but how about doing it in your backyard? Because the people here have been the sacrifice for so long.
The federal government has put most of the Houston project on hold while it investigates possible civil rights and environmental violations.
You're creating this saturated area with high levels of pollution.
Texas Southern University professor Robert Bullard has led the environmental justice movement for decades.
Most of these roads will be 4, 6, even 8-lane expressways.
When the U.S. interstate highway system was built in the 1950s and 60s, more than 1 million people were forced from their homes, and many Black neighborhoods bulldozed.
This pattern is a national pattern. At what point do you stop repeating and reproducing this inequality? The same communities that are out there now in Northeast Houston, they're still fighting for justice.
We need to work together because doing nothing is not the solution.
Raquel Lewis is with the Texas Department of Transportation. She says it's working with impacted communities and offering buyouts, sometimes over market value, to anyone displaced by the freeway project.
Do you acknowledge the impact that this has on these communities and the sacrifice these people are being asked to make?
Absolutely we do. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's a perfect project. There's plenty of opportunity for us to evolve and make modifications and take into consideration how do we make it better.
Pastor Johnson took the state's buyout, but with skyrocketing building costs, he's worried it's not enough to build a new church on this nearby land when Mount Olive is demolished.
My faith is God is going to bring us through this, like they would say, one way or another. God is going to bring us through it.
For now, the road ahead is full of uncertainty. For CBS Mornings, I'm Ben Tracy in Houston.
Wow.
That last point about the pastor looking and thinking, I may have gotten all this money, but I can't even afford to potentially rebuild. That becomes part of the problem that was also referenced about generational wealth.
Yeah, exactly. I was told as a young man, if you want to invest in something, buy land, because that's something that they don't make anymore. But that's with the idea that that same land is not snatched from you in order for a city to build more land.
Yeah, and it's, you know, they're going to pay market value, maybe a little bit above, but if you don't get to choose the time of your sale,
Right.
you don't have a lot of choice at all.
Right.